All right, let's get this class going. All right, welcome to Thursday. Um, so generally on Thursdays, we'll be working through a learning exercise in class, which will involve using these Jupyter notebooks open in Colab. And so we'll walk through that today. Um, I think today's a starting one, just kind of introducing you to the technology and stuff. So I don't think it'll take the whole class period. So we might be done a little bit early. I try not to go too quickly in it the first week, particularly online students and our asynchronous students. We want to make sure they have time to get this technology all set up and in place and stuff. And again, it's a good time for you to also like make sure you can get this if you have another computer that it works on your laptop or your other computer and stuff like that. Just a quick note, we got notice of this AI hackathon that's coming up at the end of the month. I've had students express interest in hackathons before. This is actually an interesting one. It's run by the Minnesota Journalism Center, and it's all focused on AI in local news. Scholastic is actually starting a project with Duluth community, particularly their Dean Foundation, to start using AI and an AI agent to collect and talk to local people about news topics and get their feedback on it here. This is not related necessarily to this, but again, if we there's a separate project that's on here so that there might be some opportunity like this summer to get involved in. I know the capstone part of one of the teams at the capstone class worked on this Duluth AI project. So it's something that will probably be available for some students over the summer too. But if you're interested in that, using AI for community engagement and stuff, this might be a fun hackathon to go to. If you haven't had any programming background, you might be better to do this after this class, but I know a number of you have programming background. And again, this is a fun class, and we'll probably be sending a group of students back down there, and it's a good learning activity. So even if you don't have much programming thing, the tools we'll probably be using are more like drag and drop sort of tools and stuff like that, prompt engineering and stuff for this. So if you're interested in it, let me know or contact Hiba Harari, who's runs a couple of our tech clubs here. So where's Heba's email? Yeah, Heba's email is right here. So, okay, let's jump into unit 1 here. So again, remember you're supposed to be working on your own on one of these explore activities. You should be doing one of these 3 explore activities there. Should write a reflection on this, something new you learned, something old that you already knew that was reinforced to your quote, and a question from this. I really don't want you using AI for this. I'd rather even have I put up with your misspellings, your poor grammar, anything. Just write your own reflections for this, okay? Show that you've done this there for this. So, um, now we're going to go into this Learning Notebook 1 here and do that. So again, there's a video walkthrough here. This is for the online students, and I'll just walk through. I'll just do the same well, not the same, similar walkthrough today here. So I'm just going to go here, and again, go into this again, Learning 1 notebook activity. Click on this and open this it should open up automatically in Google Colab. I think it'll log you in automatically with your CSS ID. It's just like a Google Drive or a Google Docs stuff. So you should be able to get this all opened here. Now, this is my version, which you can't edit. So you want to be making a copy of this. So the first thing, whenever we do a notebook, you want to make a copy of it. So file, make a copy. Save in Google Drive, I think is what you want to do here. And that will create a copy. So it'll open up a new tab with your version of it here. I'm going to rename this so I can keep track of this. Okay. So once you have, again, once you've gone in here and done file save in Google Drive, you have your own copy of this. Now you can put your name here. Now, how do you edit some of these cells here? You have to double click on this to get it into to see the actual, what do we call markup language here. So, and then you can click off of it. So again, you can't just click here, you have to double click, and then there'll be, you can type in your name here. Now, besides this, a copy of this, you also have to work on a write-up. And so you want to make a copy of the write-up. So if you click on here, it'll open this up. And again, you want to make a copy. And this is, again, just a Google Doc. And again, in this one, you can just say make a copy. You don't have to do save as. Make a copy. Give it some name. Store it in your folder or wherever you want on Google Drive. And again, once you have your copy, you can put your name in here too. Now I'm going to close, I have the originals here. I'm going to close those tabs. Mine opened up in separate tabs, so I don't want it. I want to edit those. You probably don't have to worry so much because you can't edit them, but I get into the problem where I can edit the original. So if I don't close those tabs, sometimes I change the originals, which I don't want here. Now, if you have your stuff all organized and everything, you can just put these both in your folder and you can find them again when you want to submit them and stuff like that. I find it useful to put the links back and forth between here. So like in my write-up, I like to just grab the link to the notebook and put that here. Again, you don't have to do this. I just find it easy, helpful to do that. And again, in the notebook, I like to grab the link from the write-up and put it down here. Then when I'm working later on, like if, I don't get it all done today in class, I bring up, I can just open up one and then just click on the link to open up the other one too. So. Speaking of links and stuff like that, you're going to want to share these with me here. So see if what I have as far as instructions go for that. So you want to probably submit a link to your Colab notebook and your link to your write-up for this stuff. Let me check. Make sure. Yeah, we'll leave it. I'm going to check the course and see how that submission is set up. Okay. So you have a couple ways of doing that. So with these, you can save like the write-up as a PDF and submit the PDF here. So again, I don't know if you've done this before, but you can download it as a PDF document or a Word document, either one works fine, and submit that. You can also share it with me. So if you go under share here, um, by default, I don't have access to it. It's only people with links, so you can add me to the link. You can also switch this so that anyone with the link can view it, which is fine. So you either have to make it so anyone with the link, if you're sharing a link, can view it, or add me as the people with access to it here. Similar, oops. Similarly with the notebook, if you're sharing that link, that has a similar share button here. And again, you have to add me as someone who shared with this or change this so that anyone with the link or anyone at St. Scholastica with a link can view it. Any of those work. I'll just warn you the first couple weeks, if you don't share it right or do it, I'll just be emailing you and we'll check in and we'll try to get that organized. So it might take us a couple weeks to get that all done. But by unit 3, we should have a good process down for that. I just noticing one of the things I want to try to change is that I want to have you sharing more links rather than doing the PDFs. But right now the activity has a file submission stuff. So if you want to just paste the links in there, fine, but it is going to require you to submit a file of some sort. So I have students who just have a cat picture that's on your desktop that they submit, and you can just submit, if you're sharing the links, you can, I would change it, but someone's already submitted this, so I can't change it after someone's done a submission here. So in unit 2, I'll try to fix that so that you don't have to submit a file. So we'll fix that. Okay, let's start working on this notebook here for us. So when we walk through this, these notebooks will be broken up into sections here, and you can collapse the different sections if you want. Some of these aren't collapsing very well. Okay, so like unit 0 is here, and there are hidden cells, and I can use this to expand or contract unit 0, section 0. So similar for section 1 here. Generally, now in this one it'll be small, but in the future ones, some of them are kind of long and will take more time. So you might start and do like section 1, but not get to section 3. And then you want to come back and do section 3. But there's code that has to be run before you can do these sections. So section 0 is always the shared code. You always have to do section 0, even if if you only want to do section 3. So always go to section 0 and run that code here. So you have to go to these cells and there'll be a little run button here that you'll have to run to do the samples here. It doesn't actually work in this one. I mean, this one, you could actually go to section 3 without doing the section 0, but I have it there just as a demonstration. So in the future, you'll run into errors here. So again, this also shows us how we run code here. Again, we can just click on a cell and then we can just click on the little play button and it will display the output generally below this. We'll talk somewhat about this code, but we won't. I mean, again, this isn't a Python programming course necessarily, but a couple things to get started here. When we see code, some codes will have comments. Any code that starts, anytime we see a pound sign, the rest of that line is commented out and ignored by the computer and is generally shown in green here. These import statements will bring in different libraries, and we'll start with just these 2, pandas and NumPy, but later on we'll import 10 libraries. And if you remember last class, we listed out the main libraries like TensorFlow that some people like to put on their resume that they have worked with after this class. And then there's just these commands like this says print libraries imported. here. And again, sometimes we can change this. So I can actually change this and set to like print Tom said libraries imported. And now if I run this rather than saying libraries imported, if I run it, it'll print off exactly what I said there. So it's actually running this code for this. Okay. Um, okay, I'm going to go on to section 1 here. And this just talks about this intro to machine learning. So there's a video here that you can watch. There's also, oh, I don't know. I forgot to change that. I think the Ford's data science stuff is now behind a paywall. Yeah. Okay. I'll watch the video instead. You probably maybe can do free access to that for a while. I don't know. But you can answer these questions here. I need to switch these to AI. So what we will be doing here is with each of these, you'll be doing something in the notebook, and then you'll switch to the learning activity, I mean the write-up, and writing up this. So here's you made a copy of the write-up here. The first question are, what are the main parts of a machine learning system? And you want to provide some answers here for this. And again, the video will walk you through this. I actually think, and I'd be fine with you working with an AI system to answer these sorts of questions. Also, these introductory questions are just fine for this. So I don't mind you using AI for these parts too here for that. So yeah, so go through, find out what the main parts of a machine learning system, what the key difference between supervised, unsupervised learning, and what are two types of supervised learning here. I'll give you a chance to work through those. Let's see how AI does with these. Evan, can you hear me now? I switched the microphone around. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, so you should be working on your write-up here. Again, you can watch the video and you can find, so, he talks about collecting data, training the model, generating the model, generating, and then creating predictions of that. So you can write up those 4 steps. And again, you can also talk to AI about this because, again, the link, I think, is behind a paywall now. I just watch. I don't want like if I just paste this in a chat GPT here, it gives us this huge long description, a lot of why it matters. I don't there. And it puts it together rather succinctly, not too bad. But I think if you give it a better prompt sometimes, that's useful. So I often suggest students have these prompts. So say something like, I'm a new student to machine learning. And then here's our question, what are the main parts of a machine learning system? So I paste that in there. And then I want to provide a short list of parts or a simple list of parts. And that condenses it down here. It still is more than what I would consider here. Data collection is good, data cleaning, feature engineering is not, I wouldn't worry too much about that. To me, it's data cleaning, model training, model evaluation, and deployment here. So it adds some extra steps, which are fine, but something like that is, you can just work that in here. Yeah, okay. Now, if you are taking text right from an AI, I like you just to maybe cite where it is or saying from AI or from ChatGPT or something like that. I like to see it. It's also nice if I can see where different answers are coming from. It's not a big deal. I just appreciate that here. Okay, I'm going to jump into part 2. To see as we work through this. The write-up, all this stuff isn't due till Sunday. So again, I expect a lot of you will finish the write-up today and you can just submit it for this and everything today. But again, I don't want you to have the pressure to get it all done today. And also I'll try to do it at a speed where I think most of the class is kind of ready for the next part. But some of you might not be ready to move on. That's fine. You can always come back later and finish up these sections or these parts also for this. So let's just look at part 2. Part 2, we're going to look at the first lessons in this Hello Python by Kaggle here. So this is a little tutorial on Python and how Python works. There are 7 steps to this tutorial. We're just going to do the first 2 steps here to get started. So we can look through that. I'm going to go back here and see what we're doing also here. So the first part of this is some Python code here and you can show the output to see what it's going to print out here. So this is in the tutorial, but we have the same code in our notebook and we can run this right in our notebook. So if I click here, it'll run this code here. And I can see, so what is this doing? Spam amount equals 0, print spam amount, and it prints out 0 here. Now, if I change this and say the spam amount is 7, and I say print spam amount, it'll print out 7 here. Ordering spam. So again, this green text is in a comment. It has a pound sign. So that's being ignored. That's just for humans like us to read. The computer's going to ignore that. And then there's this line, spam amount equals spam amount plus 4. And then if spam amount is greater than 0, print, I don't want any spam for that. So, and then there's this, later on we get into this Viking song part here. I'm actually maybe going, let's see how much I had that here. Yep. So now I can run this. And it'll say I don't want any spam for this stuff. So let's see. Let's look at our write-up and see what's in our write-up here. The first question is, of course, which British comedy troupe is the Python language named after? So you should find that here in the description. And again, for bonus points, you should list your favorite Monty Python quote. If you don't have a famous Monty Python quote, I'm sorry you were not raised properly. That's really sad that you don't have a favorite Monty Python quote, but it's not too late. Even later in life, you can still get a favorite Monty Python quote. So there's still time to appreciate the greater things in life there. So do that. So okay, so Python's named after the Monty Python stuff. And so here we've got this. Now we're going to look at this sentence or this statement: spam amount equals spam amount plus 4. These are one of these sentence or statements that tend to drive math majors crazy because they think of the equal sign as an equal sign, in math thing, but this is really an assignment. Equals means assignment in Python. So we get spam amount, and I should read that, is assigned to spam amount plus 4. So we always calculate the right side of this assignment statement first, figure out what that is, and store that in the left side of this statement here. And again, you're supposed to write a paragraph describing this one statement. Tom, how are we writing a whole paragraph about this? So again, feel free, again, if you if you know programming, this should make, if you know Java, any sort of programming languages, this is from any of those languages, you should well write out this. If you're new to programming, you haven't done much programming, feel free to, you can just take this right in the AI, I think. Can I just ask ChatGPT this? And one of the things I've been turning more to ChatGPT and AI in general for is kind of these customized learning. So again, if you need to delve a little bit more deeper into this, you don't know Python at all, or you don't know programming at all, then you should maybe relying on AI to help explain some of these concepts, where if you already know this stuff, then you can just, it's faster for you to just do it by yourself. So, and again, this gives a nice, simple description of what this does. We're adding 4 to the spam amount and storing it in spam amount. So ChatGPT actually provides a nice, I think, a pretty concise description of this also. So you can do that here. Here's another example here of some commands here, and we want to look at those. Now let's see those. Again, so here's the tutorial walks you through each one of these commands: print spam amount. And again, here's the spam amount equals spam amount plus 4. And here's their walkthrough of what this does here for this. So we then get into some numeric calculations in Python. And again, if you've been programming before, this is all probably old hat to you. If you haven't, we're just kind of showing you the basics. We're not going to turn you into an expert programmer, but we just want you familiar with the basics. So again, operations, we have, of course, addition, subtraction, multiplication. We have division. We also have something called the floor division, which is like integer division. We have modulo, exponential to raise something to the power, and negation. Those are all things that can happen in Python here. And we can do this sort of calculations like this. It talks about the difference between Python, the slash, and the slash slash there. And again, if you haven't used Python, if you use Java, you're not really familiar with this. Java does that. It just, if you do two integers divided by each other, it actually does this integer division without a remainder. If you do two floating point numbers dividing by that, it does floating point division there. But Python doesn't differentiate or uses the different symbols for that actually. Then we finally get to this example here. Sometimes the order of operation isn't what you want here. And so we have this calculation height in meters equals height in centimeters. So again, this is asking, we are setting up, let me go down here. In our write-up, we're saying, describe what the following Python statements do. Why don't they print out the correct answer for this here? And so we're setting we're trying to calculate how high you would be when you're wearing a hat. So how high are you in centimeters? How high is your hat in centimeters? We're going to add that together and calculate that in meters. So we're going to get your hat height plus your hat size plus your size and divide by 100. But again, order of operations on the computer follows standard order operations where division happens before plus. So we'll do this operation first, and then we'll add that result to here. We really want to do this operation first and then do this. But we didn't put any parentheses, so without any parentheses, it's going to do the division first here. And again, this is similar to any math equation here. One thing that's sometimes confusing if you haven't worked with software very much and programming is that we tend to use longer programming names, and programming names often with, they might have underscores in them and stuff like that. But this is just the same as saying like H equals, A plus B divided by 100, something like that. And then we print off the result here. Now, one thing you can do, if we look at our notebook, we don't have that code here in our notebook. I want to run that here. So you can add code here. I could add a cell up here. So I can just hit plus code to add a code cell here. Or like here, there's a bunch of code cells down here. And I can take this code. I can just copy this code and put it in, paste it in one of my code cells here. And again, this plus code or plus text will let you add cells. So you're free to add cells to this. Now I can run this code and see it prints off the height in meters is 26.9. Boy, that's very tall, a very tall person, a couple floors tall for that. And again, to fix this, I'd want to put in parentheses to force this to do the plus before we do the division. And now we're at 2.15 meters. And again, AI should be pretty good at this. Let's see what AI does with this. So yeah, it says because of Python's order of operations, this part is evaluated first, and it's added to this. And again, its fix is just like this. So it explains the fix just fine too. So this, the last question here is asking about comments and how comments are added to code for this stuff. One thing to note is we will be using comments a lot in here. And one thing we'll use it a lot for is to, there'll be a section of code we just want to comment out and not do it. So often I'll give you like, here's 4 different models and code to load in 4 different models. You just have to do one of them. So I'll have 2 or 3 of them commented out and then not. And you can, if you can uncomment and comment out some. So like here, if I wanted to comment this, what I call comment it out, if I put a little pound in front of these things, this will make these statements comments and the computer will ignore them. So now it will no longer do these sorts of things here. It just does the code above it. For it. So again, if I want to, and if I have something here and I want to uncomment it, I can just delete those pound signs and do that. Now, one thing I will point out, especially to Java programmers or other programs who haven't seen Python before, is the way if-then statements are set up. In a lot of languages, we use brackets to show the start and the end of a block. So we would say if spam out is greater than 0, and we start like with a brace here, and then at the end, we'd end with a brace. And anything within the brace is in that command. That's not how Python works. Python works with indenting here. And so if I have a command like this, and then I indent, anything I indent is part of that if statement. And we'll look more at that later on. But again, if I have more things now, if I have something, everything should be indented the same amount. If I don't have it indented the same amount, I'll get an error here. So unexpected indent. So indents are important to put in the right spots and to make sure they're always the same, either the tab or the same number of spaces here. So if you're indenting 3 spaces here, and the next one you're indenting 4 spaces, that's not going to work. You're going to, or a tab, you're going to want, it doesn't matter what you do, it just has to be consistent with the indents. So that gets on to question 2.5. It shows this code here and how it does. And again, I can take this code, copy it, and put it into my notebook. Here's some extra lines at the bottom here. I can paste this code in here, and then I can run this. So it seems to work okay for this, but I guess I want it if I want these both to print out. If the spam amount is greater than 0, I want I only want this printed off if both of the things are greater than 0. I want the if then. If the spam amount is greater than 0, I want to print out this and I want to print out this. But now it only prints out this as far as the if. I'm going to change this. Let's set that to 3 here. So like now, if the spam amount is greater than 3, then it prints out, I don't want any spam, and prints out spam, spam, spam. So again, I want to ask yourself, what is the difference between this indenting and this indenting? And so again, I can take this same indenting here, the second one, and paste that into one of these codes and run it. So now it's not printing out anything because of this, the way this is set up, unless I change the spam out to a value greater than 0, and then it'll either print off both lines or won't print off both lines there. But if it is 0, 1 will still print something else out. Because again, it's basically breaking this into 2 parts. One is the if statement. And the other one is this print, but this print is separate from the if statement because of the indenting, where this one, it's just one big if statement with the command there. Maybe one shortcut I like to run a lot here. I wonder if it's yeah, there's a shortcut to run the cell you're at, Control Enter. So if I'm on a cell, often I get lazy. I don't want to reach for my mouse and hit this run. So you can just hit Control Enter and run that cell, and it'll stay on that same cell. There's also Shift Control, which will run a cell and go to the next cell. No, just and I mean, sorry, just Shift Enter will run a cell and go to the next cell for this stuff. So. No, I have an error in this, and so sometimes you'll see this sort of stuff. So there's an error, invalid syntax, whatever. One thing's nice about Colab now is it should have AI integrated here. It'll try to suggest ways to fix this error for you. So you have to see how you like that and how it does with things. So it is, where's my? So it is showing the old statement here in red, and then the new version in green here. And then you can hit fix error, and it should fix that error for that. And then, yeah, I guess I have to hit this to accept the suggestion here. All right, so how'd we do with the whole Python introduction? I said, if you're interested in more Python, I suggest you may walk through some more of the tutorial here for this. At the top of this tutorial, there are different steps here. You can go to functions here and talk about functions a little bit, and you can go on here. You don't need to, but sometimes if you're just curious about Python, this is a good place to start and learn more about Python for this. The last thing is before Sunday, you have to participate with the discussion. You've got to have a post and replies. You have to have at least two of them, so they can either be original posts or replies. So you can do two original posts, you can do two replies, you can do a post and a reply. I don't care. Just so you do at least two interactions minimum for this. And again, I provide you some format for this. I don't want your reply to be, oh, that's an interesting article, or that was cool. I want, we need a little more quality to these stuff here. The last thing I'm going to do today is break people up into teams to look at this project. We're not going to start the project till next week, but I'm just going to get teams set up now. I think we'll just set up teams based by geographic location in the room here to do our first teams. That works out okay. So we'll just do teams of two. So Marcus and Johnny, we'll do you two, the information, right? Um, how we do here, right? So I'll post that, Alex, goes, and Stefan. Yeah, why don't we do here, here, and here, okay? So, let's see. So, Andy, right? No? And Cameron? Yep. Okay, I just want to make sure if I'm assigning names, I have the right, because I don't know you. There, so I'll update the name list here. I know you, so don't. I know everyone else. I'll put everyone's names here, and the online students, I'll put everyone who's not here, I'll put them in a team also for this. I know like Fabian isn't back from whatever, overseas yet. So we'll assign everyone to a team or a partner. And again, you won't have to really work on that until next week, next Thursday, next week into it. But I want to start setting up teams in case people want to just start getting a look ahead at this sort of stuff. Sound good? All right. That's all we'll be working on today. Feel free to work through, finish up your write-up, finish your notebook, submit those if you want, do the discussions if you want. Call me over if you have any questions. I'm good? Yeah. Yep.
You still want to submitting both write up and notebook, even if I have the link to notebook in my write up.
If you have a link in there, that should be fine.
That would count.
Yeah, right, that'll be fine, as long as I can get through both. You're right.
Thanks.
Yep, see you.
Bye.
Yep, you too.